My sincere apologies to Ferrari purists for what you're about to see. Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Customs in Switzerland. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a 1:59 scale Matchbox Ferrari Testarossa. This one came out in the 1:75 series and was produced from 1989 to 2000. Mine's a mess, as you can see, which means it's perfect for what I have planned. I'm going to get out my jeweler's saw and use this as my submission for the June 4 Horsemen build on the theme of six-wheeled vehicles. This is going to take on the form of the well-documented 6x6 Ferrari Testarossa conversion by Gas Monkey Garage, which featured a firestorm of controversy over ownership and intellectual property issues, YouTube drama at its finest. It was originally built by Danton Art Kustoms in France with 1,200 horsepower. Rumor has it Ferrari's lawyers tried to shut him down. Then it was nearly completely redone by the Gas Monkey Garage team over the next 2.5 years. It's an absolutely insane creation. Some consider this to be a travesty against Ferrari's legendary engineering and aesthetics. One commentator quipped, "Just because you have money doesn't mean you have taste." Others call it proof that creativity is alive and well. For me, it's just a fun challenge to make a mini version of it. Enjoy. My disassembly includes doing an inventory on all of these dirty parts. This is one toy that's been well used. Before I had the whole project completely blueprinted, I figured I'd have to use both of these rivets for reassembly, but that proved to be wrong. That wasn't a big mistake, just an unnecessary step. There's not a whole lot of paint to be stripped off this whole thing, but I went through with it, and that always brings me to the bare metal detail stage, which I enjoy as much as any of them, because this is what brings you back to a real nice, clean, blank canvas to work on. Looks a whole lot better now than when I first picked it up. Coming up on Maple Leaf Customs is my Canada Day annual Diecast celebration, which you're invited to participate in. I'm doing a fleet line this year. Got an Aston Martin DBR1 and a Riviera in the pipeline. And then on Saturdays in July and August, you'll see my summer road trip series of buddy builds with a couple of guys I've contacted to have some fun with. Be sure to come on back and check all of those out. The F6 started life as a real VIN-bearing Ferrari before the customizers dug into it. When Gas Monkey got their hands on it, they dropped in a supercharged GM-based LT4 427 cubic inch motor, a deliberate and provocative choice that puts American muscle at the heart of an Italian icon. Power goes to all four of the rear wheels through a custom-engineered all-wheel drive transmission and differential, making the F6 a genuinely functional six-wheeler rather than just a showpiece. This also makes it a rear-wheel drive car, but with 4 monster wheels back there instead of 2. Stopping power comes from oversized Wilwood 6-piston front brakes and 4-piston rears. One-off custom center lock wheels sit at all 6 corners, and the rear end features fully independent suspension. The Gas Monkey F6 features Ferrari F40 star-style rims, which I was able to design and print. Mine are 11mm in size, same as the original Matchbox set. 6mm wide on the front and 7.5mm fatties in the back. I do mine up in all black, just like the Gas Monkey boys did. And then there's a Ferrari prancing horse and a yellow lock nut hub. Those were small decals. The main challenge, of course, was converting the Testarossa from 4 wheels to 6. That's why I did all the cutting with the jeweler's saw to extend the overall length. I made a brand new chassis out of styrene plate based on careful measurements. It's attached underneath to the original. I reassembled the back end pieces like this. I'll paint it all as one unit. Thankfully, there are enough Google images of both the before and after stages of the F6 to guide me here, because you're never going to see one in the wild. And there's the first dry fit to give you a sense of what direction I'm going in. One of the most visibly striking features of the build is a massive custom rear wing, 3D modeled and fabricated by the Gas Monkey team, the single element that transforms the car from extraordinary to genuinely jaw-dropping. I had to design this by myself with measurements and angles as close as I can get. It'll be the last thing I put on. Thankfully, Kaleido makes Italian Racing Red, their version of Rosso Corsa Red, the mandated color for all Italian racing vehicles. All of my prepared components get a 2-coat coverage now. The road that the F6 traveled was anything but straight. The build was originally contracted to a third-party fabrication shop in France, which missed multiple deadlines, delivered the car in a state that the Gas Monkey team described as dangerous, with incorrect gear ratios, seized bearings, a chassis that was 3/4 of an inch out of square, and bed liners sprayed inside the door jambs. That shop was fired, and Gas Monkey essentially started over. Part of what makes the F6 story so fascinating is that Ferrari itself has a long history of pushing back against outrageous custom projects involving its cars. While Richard Rawlings has never publicly confirmed any direct legal battle with Ferrari over the F6, the Italian automaker is famous for aggressively protecting its image, trademarks, and vehicles from what it sees as brand misuse. Considering the Gas Monkey guys swapped Italian V8 power for a supercharged American LT4 and added an entirely new 6-wheel drivetrain setup, it's easy to see why the project instantly became one of the most talked about Ferrari-based creations in years and a flashpoint among enthusiasts. Glad I've got a small channel here. I hope they don't discover what I'm doing with it. Gas Monkey put a pair of red racing seats inside of there, so that's what I'm going to do with the same Italian Racing Red and a fine tip paintbrush. I'll drop in this 3D printed steering wheel too as an upgraded swap. And some yellow racing harnesses for extra safety. I do that with a little bit of Mod Podge, which dries clear. One more touch as I'm going all out on this one are these microscopic 3D printed side mirrors, which I had to paint black and then add the chrome glass to. Made a dozen of them because I figured I'd lose half of these. And a custom liner on the bottom of the chassis, with all the pertinent identification. Everything that's red got 2 coats of clear on it, which makes a big difference in the end. I refurbished the glass and blacked out the back panels as per the real car. There's my interior with a few upgrades. The 3D printed spoiler, there's a hood scoop that'll go on the roof. And the reassembled tailpiece with a couple of additions to make it fit. All good so far. I'm glad my modified 3-axle chassis fits in this well. The trick is going to be getting the detached rear end assembly into the perfect position. Bueno. I had to wait until this stage to add these 2 braces connecting the front and the back because I didn't know what the exact spacing would be. That white styrene plate is easily touched up with Kaleido Italian Racing Red to match the rest of the bodywork. The custom-made spoiler, this standout feature, is the last component to go together. There's an air intake that sits over the roof. I'm careful to get it centered, side to side and front to back, but I was able to do that. Quite a creation, isn't it? Let's have a closer look at mine. It was a daunting challenge, especially with all the mods that had to be done in order to replicate the real car. It is a roller on new custom 3D printed F40 style wheels. I added those side mirrors and a custom rear wing too. I extended the overall length, but retained the original tail end of the Matchbox Testarossa. New one-piece chassis, full length, front to back. Refurbished windshield. And a pretty sharp paint job and finish. The original Matchbox is certainly a classic, but come on, it was in sad condition. Now, thanks to the vision of Richard Rawlings, we have the F6, the world's first 6x6 Ferrari, which participated in the Gumball 3000. And you know what? During the time I worked on this, it's grown on me. I was among those who was a bit aghast of the audacity of even thinking this up. Tell me in a respectful comment where you stand on this whole concept. If nothing else, it made for a fun project for me. Thanks to the 4 Horsemen for coming up with the idea. Be sure to check out as many vids as you can, and come on back here soon and often. It's coffee time.